to Apothecary After Dark. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Apothecary After Dark, what we talk about when the doors are locked and the lights are low-ish. It's still very bright out. We're in the sun.
Summertime.
Yeah, I'm Dina, and I'm here with my partner in crime and in business.
Yes, hi, I'm Danielle.
And we're really excited to be coming to you with a topic that Danielle suggested is near and dear to us because we both love the system of tarot and relating the archetypes of tarot to what we've been through and are going through in our lives. I think it's such a beautiful way to learn the system of tarot because so many people are like immediately intimidated by the notion of 78 cards. And if you add in reversals, that's 78 times 2, right? That's what, 156 if I'm mathing.
If the math is mathing.
If the math is mathing.
Yeah.
But today we wanted to talk about 2 specific cards and how they relate to different seasons in your life.
Yeah. So, everybody in life has to face challenging times or periods of loss or of grief or of trauma that they've overcome. And the past few years of my life have definitely been extraordinarily tumultuous, personally. So I was saying the other day to Dina, I was like, I am totally living my best hermit life. And I really have been welcoming that energy, which is the hermit, because it's an opportunity to just go within and to focus on self-reflection and healing and closing off the outside noise that had been so chaotic for so long and just get in touch with myself again and recalibrate, if you will. So those periods of stillness and of quiet that I don't feel any obligation to have to do or go or perform or to be, because that's all external noise. So it really is just a quiet opportunity to bring my energy back into myself and sit quietly and be comfortable with the silence and say like, well, who am I today? I've just been through a really lot, which obviously when you go through those periods of change and tumult in your life, it causes you to transform. But if you're constantly speeding around and reacting and doing and going and powering through it, then you can't integrate that. You can't reflect on it. And you can't really learn the lessons of what those experiences have brought to the table. So the 2 cards that I thought would be interesting to talk about is not only the Hermit, which is card number 9, but the Hanged Man, which in the traditional decks, the Hermit is like that famous Led Zeppelin.
The old man in the woods. The old man in the woods.
Holding the lantern.
Yes, of wisdom and knowledge.
The lantern is for enlightenment. And then the Hanged Man is upside down with a halo around the head.
Now, interestingly enough, Rachel Pollack says that the Hanged Man is on the bottom half of the Ankh.
Oh.
Which is interesting. And then she said in the Hermit, if you notice within the lantern is a 6-pointed star, like your tattoo.
Oh, there you go.
And the top of the star, I believe, represents outer directed wisdom. And the bottom half of the star represents inner directed wisdom, which I thought was really, really interesting.
It is, because as I learned about this 6-pointed star, it really does reflect as above, so below, as within, so without. It's reflective of everything in life. So for all of the external periods of joy and elation and celebration with friends and family and all of the external facing aspects of life, I think it's equally important but not celebrated or honored enough in today's society of overstimulation and expectations of overproduction that I feel like society at large, myself as well as what I witness, doesn't allow enough grace for giving permission to go within and to just say, like, I'm calling back my energy. I need this time to recoup and to reflect and just to heal, because those moments of quiet bring moments of clarity. And you have to emote. You can't just keep shoving your emotions down and anesthetizing it, be it through, distraction or through substance or through faking social interactions that are disingenuous. Like, it's very important when you go through these challenging periods of life to really experience it and to, like, feel it, go through the stages of grief and healing and say, like, okay, how can I prevent this from happening again?
Yeah.
And if I can't prevent it, how can I heal so that I'm stronger and able to grow and strengthen from this experience?
Yeah. It's so funny when Danielle brought this topic up, I'm not a huge traditional hanged man or traditional hermit type of person, because I don't necessarily like to sit still. However, I do like to sit in my feelings and my thoughts and in my emotions. I do a lot of journaling and a lot of digging around feelings that are coming up, more from the perspective of how I feel, what the quality of my thoughts are, and the quality of my level of reactivity is. So if I'm noticing that wounds are being triggered, really stopping and saying, you know what, I was especially triggered today. What wounds were triggered, and why are they so still raw? That. So for me, it's so interesting, because when you first said, let's talk about these cards, I was like, okay, like, they're not like my go-to cards. But then I really realized that the Hanged Man for me represents the middle path that I want to walk down of not constantly being swung by the pendulum of reactivity.
Yeah. And that's important. It's important not to stay in the hermit mode for too long, because then that can lead to wallowing and self-pity. And then it becomes not productive, because you have to come out of that hibernation and cocoon and then reintegrate back into society. But how do what are the lessons learned? How do you integrate? How have you grown from the experience? And are there people in your life that you need to assess that maybe you need stronger boundaries from?
Yeah.
Or do you need to do more outreach if perhaps you haven't been maintaining those close relationships? But I think what's so interesting about the Hanged Man, these cards, this is the Light Seers deck. So the Hermit has this person floating, if you will, up above. So it's very, it's a softer piece of art. But this one has the ring of enlightenment around her head, and she's hanging acrobatically. So what's interesting about the Hanged Man is it helps you focus on looking at things from a different perspective.
Yes.
So that's not as insular per se as the Hermit, but it's like, how can I think differently about a situation or a circumstance that I might not have that knee-jerk reaction that I would normally be adept to doing. Like I might be more inclined to like have a natural reaction, but like, how could I think about this differently, to your point?
Yeah.
And react differently. So I think they're really interesting. The Wheel of Life is in between. The Wheel of Fortune is in between them. So like life will keep going,
yeah,
whether you participate or not.
Certainly.
So I mean, we're here to experience and to emote and to celebrate life and all that it has. So just shifting your perspective.
Yeah, I like the Hanged Man for switching and changing perspectives because it's literally upside down. For me, too, a lot of times like I'll hear people say like, why is this happening to me? And I understand when we're going through really challenging parts of our lives. Like obviously one of the first things we say is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening to me. But I like to like turn the perspective around and get that like bird's eye view, that witness consciousness, and say like, really what's happening here? Mm-hmm. Why am I feeling this way? What's tender that's being poked, you know? I think it's so important because people lately are so reactionary and so quick to go into wounded spaces. So like, I mean, you know, it's I don't know why, like where it just seems so heavy lately.
Yeah. Well, an interesting exercise while I was going for my Reiki master training, a portion of that is she tasked us each with going on a vision quest. Mm-hmm. And that was over 24 hours of maintaining and adhering noble silence. Mm-hmm. So there's no conversing at all. I actually had a little sticker that said, like, I'm observing noble silence. He's like, I can't talk, which was interesting. But I went to a beautiful place in nature in isolation, and it was during cooler weather, so I had a fire, and I would journal, and I would meditate, and I would just take nature walks. And how... it's not something that you normally frequently do in life. I mean, most people, I don't think, especially like in New York, take time to do that. And it stretched me outside of my comfort zone, but I was so grateful for the experience because thoughts and feelings came up that I guess were deep buried, but also my imagination was sparked. Mm-hmm. And through a lot of workshop stuff that we've done, like with Dr. Michael Lennox and shadow work stuff, like art is also a big part. If it's I'm not a very good artist, but I sometimes will pull out watercolors, or I'll just start sketching, or I'll start doing something crafty just to get out of my egoic mind and like my crazy ruminating thoughts and just express, because that's also a way of being creative and expressing your emotions. In addition to journaling, if you don't feel like the words are going to come out.
Yeah.
So, or music is another very evocative
absolutely.
Form of expression. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I play piano. I mean, not very well like my daughter, but sometimes if I'm feeling very anxious, I'll go into our little studio where we have our piano and my daughter has her cellos, and I'll, play either some Bach or some Beethoven. That's like the limit of how far I got. I think I ended when I was 13. It's
better than my chopstick.
Yeah, well, it's amazing too for me because it isn't something that I do all the time. So the mind does have to be very quiet so I could focus on the music and reading the music and playing. So that is another really great way if you were lucky enough to learn an instrument, to go back to that when you're feeling like you need to get back in touch with yourself. It's amazing how music can immediately take you back to either particular points in time or, stages in your life, or just to calm you. It really is wonderful.
Yeah, and with the amount of technological overstimulation and reactionary expectation, like just because someone can text you does not mandate an immediate response. Just because you're reachable all the time does not mandate you have to reply. You can put it on Do Not Disturb. You can turn it off. You can leave your phone at home and take a walk. And that's honoring yourself. And that leads to going within, going into the hermit mode, just taking a pause from all of the external and just getting back in touch with yourself. But then the Hanged Man, it also will shift your perspective, because how many times, if you're triggered by someone, if someone annoys you, if you're really having a day, you're like, the energy's just off and this person annoyed me and this car was driving slow. Like, just, whoa, let's take a pause.
Yes.
Let's play with the cats. Let's do something, and then within a few minutes, you'll find that your entire perspective has changed and shifted, and you're in a better mindset to continue on. And just a momentary break can have significant benefit. Mm-hmm. And that's what meditation does as well. So even just 5 minutes a day can give you that reprieve. So
also, I think, that's my goal, right? My goal is to be that middle person, to try and be as non-reactionary as possible. But that doesn't mean I won't react. It means that I don't want to react from a triggered place. I want to see, hear, feel, what have you, the situation in front of me. And I want to have that pause before I decide how I'm going to react to a situation. That practice for me has taken a pretty long time to get pretty good. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy at all. And I think too, honoring yourself is understanding why you react to things the way you do. And then the people that are in your life, sometimes your friends, your family, what have you, will be like, no, why aren't you so pissed off about this? It's like, yeah, I'm getting to that point, but I just want to look at it first, right? Before I get to how I'm going to handle something. But, for me, sometimes like the immediate, like, I'm so furious at this, like, doesn't come anymore. And then it comes. It's a delayed at this point, which is really interesting. But I think, again, that comes with the going within, the knowing yourself, going through the hermit mode, the changing the perspective of the hangman and turning things around a little bit and really looking at different perspectives.
Right. And also, like, do I really feel that way? Or am I just saying that because that's what's expected of me? Or because that's what's, like, societally expected of the norms for that to be my reaction?
Right.
Am I conditioned to feel that way? Or, like, so when I went through my divorce, I really consciously made the decision to just go within and take a period of quiet and just say, like, rediscover who I am. Like, truly, what do I like to do? What do I feel like I have to go out? Do I want to go out? What kind of person do I like to be? Do I like to laugh? Do I like horror? I don't like horror movies. Like, but like, it gave me the opportunity to, like, rediscover myself after all that I had been through, because I am not the same person that I was before that event happened, or even at the beginning of that journey. Like, that, there's different phases of life.
Yeah.
So it gives you the opportunity to, like, get back in touch with yourself and pause and say, like, this is who I am today. And I could recreate myself at any given time, at any point in time. And just because I used to be a certain way in the past does not define me now. And I have the right to change. And I do change. Anybody
we should change.
That exists should be evolving.
We should be changing and growing.
So I think that period of inner reflection and inner integration, it provides you the opportunity to just really refine that and get back in touch with who you are at your essence and, like, redirect you to your true north.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's so important. And I think what you brought up is so important for people to really hear and understand, that just because you've done things a certain way for however long, it could be a week, it could be a month, it could be 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years, what have you. Just because you've done things that way doesn't mean that you're locked in to continue to do things that way. And I do think it's very important for us to say, do I like where I am? Do I like who I am? Do I like the people that I surround myself with? Because this is our shot, as far as we know.
Right.
Could have other ones.
Yeah, this is our big chance here. So we might as well do the things that make us happy and bring us joy. And if not, take that pause and reflect and really soul search and figure out what is going to make you happy. So, that's what we're doing. We're doing the best we can here. So we started something that we want to pull cards, a card.
Right, a little energy of the coming few weeks. Right.
A little check-in.
So see, like, what the energy has for the collective. We'll each pull a card and see what we get here.
Okay.
I'm working from the Smith-Waite, Borderless Smith-Waite. And
I'm using the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann, which is my favorite deck. I
am a sort of insufferable traditionalist when it comes to this, because I'll pull a card from, like, a newer sort of design deck, and then I have to look up the Smith-Waite, and I'm like, why am I bothering? Because I have to keep referring to old imagery, like, let's just stop this ridiculosity. All right, so you got 9 of Wands.
Yeah, the 9 of Wands, she is, like, standing proud. She's holding her wand, and she, she's been through it. She has definitely been through the battle. But, she's protecting what she fought so hard for, and she looks tired and weary, but, like, she did it, and the battle is over, and she's going to get a good rest. and her fire's still burning, but she's standing up for herself and what she believes in. So that's what I'm seeing from that card. Yeah.
So it also looks like, because of the way some of the wands are laying down, the beginning of some boundaries, right? So like you're standing up and you're fighting for what you're believing, but you're maybe be instituting some new boundaries. And I pulled the Four of Pentacles. So I'm thinking also boundaries around your money. Usually the four of Pentacles to me is like, yo, bro, lighten up. It's just money. You can make more. But connected with the Nine of Wands, I want to say, people just don't give away your wealth because people are asking, especially those that are, either in our family. And I know how hard it is to say no to family when they're asking you for money. It is a very difficult position to be in. I have been in that position. It is terrible. So if any of you guys watching or listening are in the position, it's okay to have boundaries and to have boundaries around you earned your money, you have it for your purpose, for your own vision. And so stick to those boundaries and stick to your guns. And remember my advice. My advice is never to loan anybody any amount of money that you are not willing to kiss goodbye forever.
Correct. I totally adhere to that.
Right.
Yeah, and the affirmation that Chris Ann wrote, which I love, that's why I looked it up. She says, I push beyond my own perceived limitations and I remain open and trusting as I do, which I think is so beautiful because life is a journey and you're going to go through hard times. I love that you brought up the boundaries. I think that's critical. People will push where they can, and it's okay for you to say, this is what I'm willing to do.
You could say no with love.
I love you.
But no.
This is what I can do.
No is a complete sentence.
I love it. So thank you so much for spending time with us, guys. We look forward to connecting with you again. Let us know if this resonates with you and what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. Follow us in all the places at Amityville Apothecary on all the social medias. Remember to share this podcast with your friends and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us. Your comments are everything. Please drop us a comment. Let us know how we're doing, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to us today. We look forward to connecting with you again soon, so be sure to come back for the next episode.
And make sure to follow us on social media. It's the fastest way you can get in touch with us at Amityville Apothecary, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And of course, subscribe to this podcast. We are eternally grateful for your support.